Well, welcome everybody. Looks like a pretty good team of people for the next installment of the Baseline Protocols SSC Steering Committee. It's good to see everybody. Happy belated Father's Day and Juneteenth here in the States. And for folks overseas, I'm sure you're having a great summer as well. We are now into, I think, maybe 8th or 9th or 10th of these. And looks like we're about to have a record number of people joining again. So welcome, everybody. I'm going to share my screen. And we can look at the agenda. So 5 minutes, we're gonna welcome new attendees, request for additions, modifications to the agenda. I'm gonna look down here and see if anybody's added anything, and they have not. We're gonna take 5 minutes to review minutes and actions from last time. This is starting to get into good rules of order for these meetings. 5 minutes, we'll celebrate momentum on various recent announcements, growth metrics. So if you have anything to announce, please do. And then we'll get into the meat of the work, which is going through the featured projects and a walkthrough of current epics on the roadmap and identifying the shiny objects as we do. 5 minutes, we'll be planning the focus meetings and hacks and summits. I think it's time now that and many people actually think that it's time to get to the business of organizing breakout teams doing specific stuff and like hackathons and meetings on various key work items. And then we're going to do some regular business, contributor list management, sponsorships, what's going on with the Baseline show on Wednesdays, and a reminder to add press contacts and events and other things to the repo. And that's it. Anything that we'd like to add or subtract or multiply, divide, factor?
Good job.
Okay. Any new attendees that would like to announce themselves? I will say here, as we always do, attendance by somebody that happens to work for a particular company does not mean that that company has any specific intentions about blockchain or Baseline or anything else. People represent themselves, even if they work for a particular company, unless they state otherwise. There are a number of really big companies that are going through official OSSC channels to become Baseline members, sponsors, contributors, and et cetera. And they are doing that by the book. It'll take them time to get through that, but there are a lot of individuals in those companies that may join these meetings. Would anyone, having said that, are there anybody that would like to announce themselves? Please do so.
Hey, go ahead.
Sorry, so Kirk Ballou, I'm based in Dallas with Block Nerds. We're a blockchain consultancy and just here to see how we might be able to contribute.
Hey, Kirk, it's good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you,
John. Andreas Freund here. First time.
Long-time listener, first-time caller, Andreas?
No. That's truly the first time. I just did not have time before to hop on the Baseline calls, but you know me, so.
Well, welcome. We love you. Let's see, anybody else?
Hey, yeah, sorry, I couldn't find the mute button. I'm Tim Bako from the Pegasus team. I'm a product manager for Besu, and we're starting to try to dig into Baseline a bit more and wrap our head around it and how we can work better with it from the client side. So mostly listening and trying to get as much context as I can.
Well, it's great to see you, Tim. And yeah, I think there are a number of people from engineers from different clients that have now gotten even onto the maintainer team. So it'd be great to see a Pegasus Besu maintainer over time. That'd be very cool. All right, what else? Anybody else?
Yes, this is Ruben.
Say again?
Sorry. Yes. So hi, this is Ruben. I'm also from Consensus. I work on identity, and I'm also trying to learn more, get more involved, and see how we can bridge the identity work on credentials and DIDs into that ecosystem.
Great to have you here, Ruben. Anybody else?
Yes, Juan Blanco from Ethereum. Yeah, I know most of you already.
Hey, Juan.
Hi.
You as well. Anybody else? Okay, we'll call that done. And any additions or modifications to the agenda? Is there anything that people want to bring up? Okay, so let's review the minutes from 81, and we'll do that right now. So last time we we reviewed a bunch of different projects. The big tentpole project being invoice tokenization. We discussed that quite a bit and you can see that on the video. And made calls for people to get involved. Love to see if that has resulted in new folks involved in the project. Karthik Solbram from E&Y is, it's pretty early for him. He's in California, and I know that he's got a conflict today, so he might not be on this call. But Brian Chamberlain is also involved in that. A lot of the maintainers. Does anybody have anything to say about the tentpole project, the invoice tokenization? We will discuss it a little bit later as well. York, is Kale or any of those guys focused on that one?
No, well, I'm not aware, so I don't want to speak for anybody else, but I'm not aware.
Right. Shiny objects. We discussed the roadmap in Epic's last week, and just reading through where the Epics are. Has anybody had any trouble getting onto the roadmap, interacting with it, assigning yourself to things? Does anybody need help with that? Show of hands, how many people have actually gotten onto the roadmap since the last meeting? I see hands. That's good. All right. Well, I'll say, as I always say, if you're having any trouble getting onto the roadmap, or if you can't make any edits, or you can't certainly comment. If you can't comment, I really want to know, because it should be able to allow you to comment. If you can't do that, and I've heard one person say they couldn't, let me know, please. So the roadmap is on Ethereum Oasis, or it's this github.com/Ethereum-Oasis/baseline roadmap. So if you can't get in there and you can't at least comment, then let me know. And if you want to have control over your own epics, then you need to give me your GitHub ID, and we will put you in there. I'll remind everybody that that officially the way to be a SSC member is to simply have your name on the assignee button or the assignee list of any epic at the top level of the roadmap. That's it. That's the only thing that makes you an SSC member. Or as we mature, we'll start to become sticklers about that, so that anybody can attend these meetings, but if you really want to be on the SSC, you have to be in here. And what that assignee list, that assignee means is that you are accountable for the work. Doesn't mean you have to do the work. It means you're accountable for it. It's about leadership. So that's what being on the SSC is all about. Any questions? And can we ratify these minutes? Any dissent? We'll do it that way. Okay, these minutes are ratified. Also, there was a TSC meeting last week. And the TSC meeting, also the minutes are here. It's on issue number 75. And it was a pretty good meeting. Eric Breivik talked about security. We talked about tools. Unibright is developing an Etherscan-like tool for local environment. We talked about the Invoice Tokenization project, which is moving. And we have a number of actions around the increasing the quality of the website and moving more projects, elaborating different projects and getting them into either into the backlog or into the icebox, and also talking about projects like DocuSign and how to get those released. So these are so I'll just point. I won't take any more time up on that, but I'll just point everybody to these minutes, and the video is there in the link as well. So if you didn't get a chance to check out the TSC, that is the interlock there. Questions, comments? Hey, Marty.
Yeah.
Nice to see you. Just I saw you there. You want to say anything, or would you like to hang back? You're new.
Yeah, I'm new. I'm with White Block in Southern California.
Nice to see you, Marty. Welcome. All right, so now let's on to momentum. We are now approaching 600 actives in the Slack community. We have currently in the baseline roadmap itself, we have hold on. We're now at 343 stars, 85 forks, and the contributors list, and we will discuss this, is at 12, but it's really not indicative of where we're at, because there is a ton of work in different forks that has not been merged to master. The maintainers are working diligently. This is a big job for them right now. And if Brian's on the call, maybe he might want to talk about this a bit. But we definitely are kind of ramping up a campaign to get people that are contributing in their own forks to at least put something merged to master for two reasons, and it's important. One is so that they can vote, because the TSC will be voted on in September. And if you don't have, the only way you can get a vote for a TSC member is if you have at least spell checked something and merged it to master. That is the rule. So only contributors get to determine who's on the TSC. And contributor specifically right now, and we could review this in the future, but for this voting period, bylaws say contributors means you've got something merged. That also means that's also important, because in order to merge something, you have to have signed the ICLA, which is the contributor licensing agreement. Either the enterprise one that the companies will sign for you, or your own individual one. So we're going to work hard on that, but those are the metrics. Also, I noticed that we've passed 1,300 followers on Twitter for the Baseline Protocol Twitter account. And the last SSC meeting, the last one that we did, if you look at the YouTube numbers, got something like 1,300 views in like 24 hours. By comparison, the core devs meeting from the previous week had 500 views. So we're on to something here. So that's growth metrics. Anybody would like to make any recent announcements? I mean, I think we've already discussed the Google Sheets deployment. Does anybody have any announcements about things that they're working on that they're getting out there? Any other celebrations?
Sure. I think actually this would be a good time to bring up that the video. There's a really brief video that a few of us have been working on to kind of summarize what baseline is and how it can help organizations. We just finished that up, and now we're looking to push it to see if we can get more social media interest. So hopefully this week that can go live. And also, we have a really great team over at the High Level Value Deck channel on Slack, and we have just finished up a really good iteration of a value deck specifically catering to business leaders. You know, it's kind of a build it yourself, you know, Lego version of a deck where you can go in and make modifications based on who you're speaking with or who you're looking to introduce to baseline. There's technical material and non-technical material there. And also we now have an aerospace specific version of that deck for, you know, the aerospace use case and the industry, which is informed by a lot of really cool industry experts. So, you know, as we're moving forward and looking for other verticals to go into, if anyone here is interested in contributing or maybe just being interviewed around like issues that Baseline can help with, feel free to post in the High Level Value Deck Slack channel. But hopefully in the coming weeks, we'll get a presentation of that going. But for now, everyone has made a really amazing progress, and it's really great.
That's pretty awesome. Kudos to Avia and I think several people. Would you like to give some credit to some people that worked on that?
Yeah, absolutely. So there are a ton of people who are helping with this, but I think we're seeing a lot of help from Noam Eppel, Daniel Norkin, Nick Kritikos, Jason Pansis, Michael Urban, and many more people. But for now, those are our primary contributors. Sorry, I'm going a bit quickly, but you know, everyone is making a huge impact by contributing in the channel. So thank you to everyone. And if I missed a name, we'll get that corrected on the deck and everything else. Oh, and also Massiage was hugely helpful with the video. So thank you.
That's fantastic. So, so we have video working. We have a deck, a high-level deck being set up, right?
Yes. So actually, that high-level deck, it's ready now. It's formatted and usable, so anyone can access it and make a copy of it for themselves. And we also have that more specific aerospace use case deck that's still in progress, but almost done.
Yeah, the aerospace use, I saw that. I took a look at that. It's pretty interesting. Is anybody on the call interested in reviewing that or getting involved with that work?
Also, no pressure. You can just message me directly if you're interested, or just join the Slack channel if you're curious, like what we're doing.
Right on. No, I like to make everybody uncomfortable for at least 7 seconds. Otherwise, it's just a good way of getting people to chime in. Amir, did you want to say something?
Yes, I will reach out to her to get that information as far as gathering enough information for educational purposes.
Oh, right, because you're on that. We'll talk about that in a minute as well. So thanks, Amir.
Sure.
So I'm going to say that one of the big question marks and to-do items is right now is when and where and a bit of how to release the video. Let us have a 2-minute discussion about that. I'll say that we're now on to featured projects, and in fact, the video is a good featured project. It is done. We could release it literally right now on YouTube publicly. Does anybody have any thoughts about the when, how, and where? And we could hold on to it. We could wait until the init core release of the new upgrade. We could wait for a demo to be released, or we could just do it right now. We could do it Tuesday. We could do it during office hours on Wednesday. What do you think?
John, I don't see the downside of releasing it now, but you could potentially then also, you know, include it in a future press release to try and boost it. But I don't really see what the downside with doing it now would be.
You know, funny enough, that might be really high value contribution, just that, because I might be overthinking it, and it would be good to just get out of our heads and just do it. So that might be one way to go. Anybody have a counterpoint? No counterpoints? Nobody's feeling argumentative this morning? Okay.
I mean, John, do you have a counterpoint? Is there a reason that you're thinking hold off and wait?
No, I think I like to wait until you shouldn't wait anymore on things, because, you know, and I try to be mindful. So I didn't want to, this is such a valuable thing. I didn't want to just blow it out there over the weekend. It's a nice piece of work, and it's scrappy. It doesn't feel like it's like Hollywood produced, but it feels good, and it feels like it's a quality piece of work, and it's short, and it says what it needs to say. So it's a good summary. Like if people wanted to know what baseline was fast in a nutshell in 2.5 minutes, you know, 1.25 minutes and 2x speed, which is really the best way to see anything nowadays. Then it's there. And I didn't want to I didn't want to shoot the gun without, terrible metaphor, but you know what I'm saying. So yeah, I thought it was because of the timing, it just made sense to bring it up here.
Yeah, and also I posted a link to the video in the group chat. So if anyone's interested in taking a look after this call, you can check it out there. It's really short, so it's not like a crazy documentary. It's just 2.5 minutes.
Awesome. All right. Well, we will, Avia, let's look at this after the call. Maybe we do it today or maybe latest tomorrow. I think 10 a.m. on a US Eastern is usually a good time to push these kinds of things out onto Twitter and such. And maybe what we can do is, if we do it tomorrow, we can coordinate everybody in the community, all 600, to do their thing all at one time, you know, really make a big blast. Sound right?
Yeah, especially on LinkedIn. I think that's a really key platform. If we can get this circulating on LinkedIn, that would be amazing for other enterprise stakeholders.
Sounds great. That's a great idea. And you're right. I mean, if we're looking for enterprise stakeholders, they're going to be more likely over there. Okay. Let's move on, shall we? Anything else on this? While I stall to try to find a way of getting out of this screen. All right. So back to the agenda. Feature projects, gas station. Is Brian on?
Yep, I'm here.
You want to say a few words about where we're at with gas station?
Yeah, so gas station we're exploring it as a concept and a product on the consensus side, and trying to get some initial folks who have experience working with gas, both working with it directly technically, and then also with other customers and stakeholders who might want to use Ethereum Mainnet to compute or something like that. So to try to reframe the thinking about how businesses use Mainnet to one of just paying for compute, and then you pay for compute via gas. So it's early at this point. We do have some technical direction that we're going in, exploring, but just looking for folks who have experience and be willing to have discussions with us about how they're using gas, or if they have clients that would want to use Mainnet, but gas is really the showstopper for them, that kind of thing. We hope to have more, I guess, to present here in the next couple of weeks as we collect feedback and build some MVPs and demos and things.
Thanks, Brian. So it sounds like there's a call to action here for the community, which is get to Brian if you have a point of view about how people, how companies, large and small, would need to consume mainnet gas, and you know, and they are all ears about that.
Yep. My name is Brian Chamberlain. You can find me on the Slack channel or ping me via chat here and during this call.
Yep. And you can also go into the gas station Epic, gas service Epic.
Yep, that's a great point. Yep.
Yep. And you could write comments here and engage people in this way. That would be awesome.
Yep.
Unless there is something that you can't put on the record, in which case, yeah, privately message Brian. Thanks, Brian. DocuSign integration is Kyle on? And after all the work he did last week, I wouldn't be surprised if he's taken a week of rest. I think he should. Not on? All right, we'll move on from that. But everyone should know that there's a DocuSign project that Kyle and others are working on. Does anybody on the call have anything to say about that one? Sam, are you on there?
Hey, yeah, I'm here, but I haven't.
Oh, I'm sorry, Sam. Sam Bacha. I'm so sorry.
Oh.
I'm just looking at who's made comments. All right. Well, we'll table this, but it looks like this one will be cooking up in the next 2 weeks. Several of us will take this offline with Kyle. I think what we want to do is get some of these onto a release schedule as quickly as possible. This one, according to Kyle, is pretty close to being baked up, as well as another project, basically as a service thing where you could, as a small company, you could spin up a Mongo database that's baselined with some counterparties very quickly for inexpensive, on the cloud. Good. Both of those are Kyle projects. Oracles and Chainlink, that's another featured from last week. Do we have an update? Johan on the call? All right, we'll move on from that one. I do know that that one is proceeding. I think they're in design phase right now. And I'll take an action to make sure that we have an update on that on the Epic. And invoice tokenization, that's the big one. We made a call to action last week or last 2 weeks ago on anybody that wants to get involved in that. So this project is yeah, and we still haven't connected all the back end up to this Epic. So I made a call for that last on Friday. Oops, yeah, so we've got a different.
Hi, John. Can you speak a bit further on the plan for invoice tokenization?
Yes. Here's the Epic. So invoice tokenization, there's a big call, and there will be more. The call is on. You can get the link down here that was led by Karthik. And there will be more calls and more design sessions on this. But specifically in here, we're talking about being able to add a work step that is right now in the current demo of Radish, you can do an MSA and a PO work step. After the PO, you need to be able to do an invoice, right? So, but you should be able to do any work step. So can add an invoice work step, and then you can tokenize that invoice. What does that mean? Well, it means that, actually the question is, what does that mean in a baseline context? What does it mean to tokenize an invoice that's been baselined? if part of tokenization is non-repeat, being able to say I've got a record of an asset that is not, where you can't repudiate, the ownership, and that everybody has the same consistent view of the truth, and that it's according to a standard, then what else is there to tokenize? By putting it on, putting the payload of that directly on the blockchain. Could you tokenize an invoice, a baseline invoice, simply by moving the baseline proof around inside the Merkle tree with an ERC 721 with the proof as the payload, right? Would that suffice? Does it need to be more? And then getting that into an asset management system like Codify or another one is another part of that story. And then can you fractionally sell it? Can you factor it? That's the full kind of workflow, the cycle of what we're talking about. Any questions, comments, thoughts?
Yeah, why do you do it on an individual invoice? Why not on a batch or tranche?
Yeah, well,
I mean,
actually,
that's
yeah. So tranching is we've met, I think you and I have talked about this for a couple of years, right? That tranching is one way to destroy the information that other people are seeing on the public blockchain, so that you have just simply rated tranches, right? So you don't know that if you're some company and you don't want your competitors to know about your invoices, but you want to sell your short-term debt, you would tranche them, right? But then you'd have to have a company that would rate the tranches.
That is indeed true. I mean, it's much more efficient. Also, as a more effective cash flow management system at scale. If you actually want to, and you want to still have individual invoices, but you want to put them into a tranche, and you're doing it through an ERC 721, then you do it through, you can add ERC 721s to a collection contract that is then represented through one token, and then that token owns all the others. So you can create effective tranches even in with token contracts. I've actually coded that stuff up, so I actually know how that works.
Very cool. And I know that on this team right now, Didier is quite interested in this. Karthik is involved in this, but also folks from Centrifuge. Is anybody on from Centrifuge this week? Yeah, they were on last week. And yeah, Centrifuge has some interesting ideas about this as well. Jason Jones and those guys. Other questions, comments, thoughts? This is really why we're here, right? SSC is all about these big tentpole, shine a light on the projects.
Hey, John. Hey, John, how are you? This is Dan Orkin. Just super quickly, I just wanted to know if there was any interest. I don't think Jason's on this call, but if we can add Jason onto this epic, we can probably create token specifications here from this. And that could be a good way to kind of explain the behaviors and properties, etc.
Awesome.
I don't know if Jason's on this call. I'm on my phone right now. Jason's there. Maybe you can say a couple words about it.
I don't see Jason today, but it's video, so I'll make sure that he's aware. So yeah, moving forward from this, the objective is by the fall to have this out as a demo with some brands represented, right? So I've obviously made the suggestion that we involve a Codify as just the way we did with SAP and Dynamics and Microsoft and et cetera. If we do the project, this is an opportunity for brands to be able to be featured, and so that's what we'll do. So we'll get a demo out, with some subset of these functions in that time frame. That's the objective. What I like about this as a tentpole is that it focuses a lot of other project work, right? Messaging has to work. Corporate identity has to work. CLI has to work, and et cetera, right? It's in order for us to work with other systems like a Codify, it's going to need to, init core is going to have to be out. So it unifies a lot of different work. Okay, so we'll leave that there. That's the review of that big tentpole, and it is issue number 17. So strongly encouraging people to pile on, make comments, argue some stuff out, make proposals, suggest how that thing can be done. This is a good moment because it is not baked. It is in wet cement. So anybody, for those who are dialing in from home, I guess that's everybody nowadays, please take a look. All right.
John, a quick note. There are 2 additional epics with progress underway. That is 12 Hyperledger Avalon and 24 ZK service hardening that are underway, and we invite people wholeheartedly to participate in those epics as well.
I'm adding that, Bill. Thanks for that, by the way. Did you guys want to go over any 12 or 24 today?
No. I know we did one of them in a previous week, and we'll be looking at it, presenting for the other one in meetings coming forward.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Now, I have to say, I think we're doing a good job here. I mean, in an hour-long bi-weekly meeting, what we get to do is a survey course of what, try to get our hands around the different kinds of things that are happening. There's so many different projects. A lot of them are even private, like companies that are doing things onto themselves. So it's impossible to know everything that's going on. But what we're trying to do with this team is just make sure that we have a little bit of unity and a little bit of coordination. And so by going through this gross level, high level roadmap, we get a little bit of that for the community. And if 1,300 people are really showing up to watch these videos, then I guess we're getting the word out and we're doing the job. And I'm seeing some folks on the, we're at 34 participants on the call right now. I'm not sure that's a record, but it's pretty close if it isn't. And yeah, I see Fraunhofer here, and Fraunhofer and others. So so let's go through the roadmap. I'm going to go through we're changing the format up a little bit. We still have this roadmap here, high level, and we've got the documentation and education, which we discussed. We have what we're calling init core protocol abstraction generalization is, as you can see, and this is correct, is getting down to the last wire. Everyone needs to know. Is anybody that's working on protocol on init core? Is anybody on the call? It's a kind of a TSC meeting thing. All right, so go back to the TSC meeting from last week, and you'll see the discussion on init core. But what everybody needs to know who's doing a project is you got to watch, keep an eye on init core and the documentation changes that will be coming out, because there'll be a lot of different interface changes and things that you're going to want to know about. So if you're doing projects on baseline, or using the baseline technique, and you're using any of the libraries from Radish 34, those are going to turn into much more usable, much more mature libraries, things to import going forward. And we will be releasing that either in June, at the end of June, or in the early part of July. That's what I'm being told right now. And again, things can change. Questions, comments? Hey, York, no, is that, no. Others? Is anybody doing a project that is that's where this is an issue? Christian, Daniel? Okay. We'll skip over marketing and comms because we did that earlier. Community organization, the member guides actually has been done, so we can clean that up. There's a new project on documentation where we will do a new documentation set for init core. On the specifications and functionality, we have so this is happening now. Everybody needs to know. We discussed it, and we will be starting standards and specifications work with the release of init core, and we will be booking our Oasis friends to give us an education session on writing standards and specs in a professional way. If anyone wants to be involved with that, please DM me, and we'll get you involved. York, do you have any thoughts on that? All right, security. The security team is now in the middle of elaborating their standards, and they will have those done for next TSC. They've committed to that from the previous TSC. There's the high value deck. And as we discussed on the TSC, there will be, we're expecting to see a lot of tools work towards the end of the summer, once init core is out. Anyway, so this is the current roadmap of demos. So the legal identity DocuSign demo is into this time frame. There's a Salesforce integration project that that is being worked, and I'm trying to move screens out of the way so I can see who's assigned.
Yeah, John, I was about to mention that one over there, that I don't necessarily want to go too deep into this one, but I didn't hear you talk about that one. So yeah, there's a potential Salesforce to D365 demo that we began kind of scoping out really simply. So
right, with Dom, is that right?
With Dom, exactly.
Yep. Hey, I'm on, John and Daniel. Yeah, so we started working on it. We have some of the initial connectors and call out classes from Salesforce developed, but we're still working on it. So I think in the next week or so, we have another kind of follow up or, in progress on the current integration.
That's great. Can you guys, I think I sent you a note on this. Can you guys please get that elaborated, get those issues connected to this, to 96, and get that elaborated so that we've got something to go on, and we can attract, people that are interested in this should have one place to go.
Yep, will do.
All right. All right, got your word on that. Yeah, that's a good example. So, that's the accountability thing. If you can just get that set up so that we have something to be accountable with, that'd be awesome. ENS as a corporate identifier system. That's Brantley and Bradley. Status on that, guys? All right, we'll move on from that one, and I will follow up offline. One of the things we want to start doing is pruning and doing a little bit more list management here. So there's a MuleSoft connector demo. There's a Microsoft Teams project. York, are you still there?
Yep.
Yeah. Do we want to icebox this, or do we want to do we want?
No, it needs a little bit of elaboration, obviously. To your point, it is a real requirement, so I just need to get some requirements in there. Same thing with the. Well, I know what pretty much what the requirements are for this example. On the SQL Server one, I'm still eliciting requirements from the team.
Yeah. You want to, I put this kind of out towards the July, September timeframe here on this. Is that a good timeframe for you? This is pretty easy to move around. So, I mean, I can, it's not supposed to be science. Oh, you're on mute.
Let me elaborate. It's fine where it is. Let me elaborate on it and then we can adjust.
Very good. All right, thank you for that. Then there's a POC for real world cross-border shipment by U.S. Customs and Border Protection. Morpheus Network is working on that.
Yeah, I can jump in and provide a brief update there. So high level, the goal here is to help real world adoption of Baseline, which is exciting because I think that's what we're all working towards. My company, Morpheus Network, is working with a few different enterprises, which I think would benefit from Baseline. So issue 90 relates to a live cross-border shipment between Canada and the US, and we want to baseline some sensitive information there. So the status, there's 3 parties working on this. One is Morpheus. The second one is a customs broker. And then the third company is a company that's part of the Baseline community. However, they don't want to make their participation official until we're a bit further along in the development. So that's kind of the status there. We have a call this week to discuss a bit further. And that said, if any other companies or anyone else wants to participate in issue 90, by all means, please get in touch with me on Slack.
Fantastic. Is this time frame still looking good for you?
For issue 90, I'm not sure. It's a bit too early for us to commit to a specific time frame, I think.
Oh yeah, no, we're all friends here on this. Yeah, good pro. Yeah, nobody. Yeah. This is a signaling mechanism, right? This is not a commitment mechanism.
Yeah, for sure.
But like, for example, on the Microsoft Teams one, it's out in front, so nobody's even expecting that to start right now.
Right. John, we have, you and I have organized a couple webinars for July, and ideally we would have something to demo for those webinars. I'm not sure if that's going to happen just based on timing, but if we can put something together related to issue 90 for those 2 webinars, that would be fantastic. So I'll update you as soon as I have some more information there.
All right. Well, that means that we might want to tighten this up to say, yeah, the July timeframe is when you want to do the actual work on this.
The actual starting the work, yeah, it started already, but hopefully for the webinars, we have something that's at least we can demonstrate, but I don't want to commit to that yet.
Yeah, no, don't worry about commitments, right? Nobody's going to hold anybody to anything on this. It's just signaling.
Yeah, got it.
Good. Exploring Baseline and IoT. I don't think do we have an update on that one? So up until now, we've been fairly forgiving on the roadmap. I will now start the process of pruning. So I'll be looking for things that don't get that aren't that look like they're going quiescent, and I'll reach out to the assignees on a regular basis throughout the weeks. Anything, John, or that's the problem with GitHub is you don't know who you're actually talking to sometimes. D.H. Goodman? Is John Marmaker on the call? I know I was talking to John just the other day, so we'll take a look at this. But the IoT project is another one. And I think the last one we have time to go through is the project we discussed last week. There's Hyperledger Avalon, but the one that wanted to talk about was the Fraunhofer project with Unibright on manufacturing. Is that something you guys want to talk about today?
Hi, John. We just made an agreement today with Unibright, and I think they will publish something tomorrow about it. And then we are going to update the roadmap.
Great. Is it 56 that we're using as the tracker?
It is 56, yeah.
Terrific. So people, that are interested in this, what would you say to get people excited about working on this project or being interested in it? This one really is one that you guys are doing kind of together around the machine tool, and it's pretty exciting, right?
We will do the machine tool integration and Unibright the SAP integration. To me, this is already exciting. I don't know.
And the punchline of this project is that you would be able to baseline the specifications of the 3D printed item, right? And that the serial number of the machine and the state of the machine, all that stuff would go into this.
Yeah.
So that
we still have to figure out how complex it will be.
Yeah. I thought it was a pretty good example of proper use of a baseline technique. All right. Anything else on that? It's in progress. Okay. There are 3 new epics that, there's the Microsoft Azure SQL integration kit. York, do you want us to pull that into in progress or into the backlog? York? Might have lost him. So I'll check up with him on that. The CI tools. Oh, Brian, do you have an update on whether the CI tools is that basically in it core, or is that a separate project at this point?
It's a separate project. It's kind of been backburnered, I guess. We were waiting on some changes for the zero knowledge circuits to make kind of like some dummy circuits, and those were done, but then we never followed back up for the CI to get that up and running. So I can put that back at the top of the stack.
All right. Can we? Is it 69?
Yeah, I think that's the one. Yeah.
All right, because there's nothing in it right now. It's just a placeholder. So it'd be great if we could, if there's stuff at the engineering side that can get wired up to that. I'd be grateful for that.
All right. Yep. I'll take care of that.
Yeah, and I'll move it to the top of the backlog until it gets actioned. MuleSoft connector demo. Is this one Peter? Do you have a?
Yeah. Hi. Regarding MuleSoft, I would say we have 2 things. First, we got in discussions with one other SSC member, and now we are discussing like how we're going to approach it, and we'll have an update this week.
Oh, that's great. That's great progress.
Yeah, it's just very abstract right now, but I will have more updates during this week. And the second one, we have one potential as a MuleSoft user that would like to build a POC on the baseline protocol. But now we're trying to, that user is using MuleSoft as well. So now we are trying to identify like how much of the business process is facilitated by MuleSoft and how much of it is actually suitable for the baseline. So if that will be suitable, we might take it and make some MuleSoft connector, which would be generic enough for every other MuleSoft user, or we can make it customized for that particular use case and create some demo out of it. It's still very abstract right now, but we are in discussions.
Very good. Could I ask you to elaborate these on the epics here in the next day or two?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you very much. And so would you call this inactive state? So shall we put it in progress epics or in backlog? I'd say it sounds like it's being actioned.
Yeah, it could be in progress, but I cannot give any estimations right now because it's.
Oh no, we're not being that we're not being that stickler, but it sounds like it's active, right? So I'll call it.
Okay.
Yeah. And the POC baseline integration plugin, I'll talk about that one. We'll take that one offline. So back to the agenda. And we're a bit off on the agenda right now, but it's okay. We've been through the shiny objects. In the last few minutes here, let me just discuss a couple of things. One is we really should be planning some focus meetings and some hackathon type activities. I'd like to move that that we start to arrange those in the next 2 weeks. Any thoughts or dissensions on that? Specifically, I'd like to suggest that we have some longer, in-depth engineering meetings that would act so that we can work out init core and the next step from that. Brian, your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I think those yeah, we should do that. Just put something on the calendar.
Okay. So we'll get something. I mean, I know you have your regular maintainer meeting, but I'm thinking that, I've heard now 3 or 4 people ask for, some much more deep dive type, okay, let's work out together what we're doing here.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Probably about time we do that. Something regular, or we talked about doing a contributors call. That might service that, but I think for now, we have some other topics that are top of mind for the community. Let's just do some calls based on that.
All right. Does anybody else want to get involved in that, or Brian? Maybe I can nominate you and I to arrange those. Anyone else? All right. We'll catch up with Karthik on it as well. Regular business, status on contributor list management and sponsorship. So we are still, we're probably a day away from having some solid decisions about managing the list of participants on the website, and how participants, specifically contributors and SSC members and TSC members, et cetera, can manage their own profile and allow themselves to be stay private and unlisted or public. This one's been on my mind. I'm just reporting the progress on that. We don't have an answer yet on working with Oasis on it. If anybody's interested in that, please catch me offline. The baseline show, which is the Wednesday office hours proposal, has been to kind of brand it the baseline show or something like that, and to call for interviewees. And so let me just say to everybody here and to those watching on YouTube, if you want to be interviewed on our pretty popular half-hour show about anything you're doing, we're looking for interviewees for the show. And that's all I have to say about that. Reminder to ask for press conference. Okay, so as we go into the next round of releases, there's several releases that will have press releases, or at least blog style press releases soon. As we get into more of these, we want to have a go-to list of press contacts. Each company in here has their own set of press contacts, and what we really want to do is have more press contacts and relationships with folks outside of the envelope of just blockchain. Blockchain's great, but we want other folks too, like IT today and whatever, security management review, that sort of thing. Smaller publications, larger publications, and that sort of thing. So if you have contacts like, of course, Beaster and Ian and other folks, please get them in here. And it's cool because this is public. So, hopefully at some point, the press folks themselves will want to add themselves to this list. If you have people, please indicate. And that may be the end of our business today. There's a similar one for events. So on 93, you can add upcoming events. And again, it would be great if we were to get off the usual suspects when it comes to blockchain. Those are of course important, but Gartner Security and Risk Management Summit, SC Congress, Edge Computing World. And by the way, Kyle Ellicott has been such a great volunteer on helping us get our act together on events. Thank you, Kyle. That's all we've got on this show. Anything else before we cut out? By the way, Karen, it's good to see you. I know you're going to be a big featured guest on an upcoming event. So we're really excited about that. Anything else before we adjourn? Okay, it's good to see everybody. Talk to you in 2 weeks.